I'm going through a relatively hard time. You may not be able to tell just by looking at me, but that's not because I'm faking it till I make it. I'm using strategies I've learned to keep from spiraling and bounce back faster. I have not bounced back yet this time, but I do have techniques so that I can better cope and keep moving forward until these difficult times pass. If you're also struggling right now, whether that be from a major depressive episode or breakup or loss, or maybe you just feel stuck and overwhelmed by changes you want to make in your life, this video is for you. I have a ton of different tips I'll be sharing over time, but this video is just going to focus on the absolute basics to help you get through it when you're going through it. To anyone who's new here, hello, I'm Sarah. There should be a link around here to my introduction video if you want to get a better understanding of who I am and what this channel's about. If you're not new, hey, what's up? It's nice to see you again. A quick, serious disclaimer. I'm not a professional, and the videos on this channel are not meant to replace clinical treatment if you do have a mental health condition. If you're currently at risk of any harm, please seek professional help immediately. Also, I am pretty depressed right now, so my body's uncomfortable and I don't want to sit at this desk, so I'm going to change things up a little for this video. Let's see if this works. Hey, it worked! Lolita is here, looking outside. For some reason, I prefer to be lower to the ground sometimes when I'm not feeling well, so that's where we are. We're going to call this Sarah's sad spot. I kind of feel like holding the mic, but I also might be putting this down in a minute. And my body temperature is kind of all over the place, so I might be losing and adding layers. Okay, let's get into it. My first tip for getting through a difficult time is to practice self-compassion. Oh my God, I'm hot. Where was I? Oh yes, right at the beginning. The first tip is to practice self-compassion. I'm putting this right at the top of the list because it's been the ultimate game changer for me when it comes to any kind of healing, recovery, or growth. It'll also come in handy if you end up struggling with the other parts of this list because any kind of advice here is easier said than done, especially when you're not doing well mentally. Self-compassion has been a big focus of mine this year, so it's going to be another topic that comes up a lot on this channel. A problem with the sad spot is I just want to lay down. So people often think that being hard on ourselves is the best way to get motivated to change. But for most people, that's not true. Negative self-talk usually increases depression and makes it harder to get motivated. I'm going to be moving around this whole time. So self-compassion doesn't mean lying to yourself and saying that everything you're doing is fine and that you don't need to change. Being honest and realistic about your situation is very important, but having patience and understanding and treating yourself with kindness will make it much easier to get through these times. Self-compassion is a skill that needs to be practiced, and there are certain exercises you can do to build those muscles over time to make it come more naturally. This week's video was actually going to be about my favorite one of those exercises, but I was having difficulty organizing my thoughts enough to write something I was happy with, because my brain just ain't right now. But just know that I will be making videos with more specific advice on this topic in the future. In the meantime, I hope at least having this concept in your mind can make you more aware of negative self-talk that may come up and encourage self-compassion instead. If you're someone who's naturally more compassionate towards other people, trying to treat yourself as you would someone else in the same situation is a great place to start. Even though this is a basic list in general, the second tip is what I refer to as getting back to the basics. That includes doing your best to take care of your body's core needs: sleep, exercise, and movement. Nope. Sleep, diet, and movement. Sleep is by far the most important for our cognitive functioning, but unfortunately, it's usually the most difficult of the three to control. But it is crucial that you prioritize improving the quality of your sleep if you want to improve the quality of your life. Look up sleep hygiene and make any changes you can. Do your best to regulate your sleep schedule. 7 to 9 hours of sleep is ideal, but just please don't tell yourself you can't improve your sleep. If you tell yourself you can't, you probably won't. Then there's diet. Your diet doesn't have to be perfect. but make sure you are actually eating. I know that's difficult for people with depression sometimes. And try to eat at least some food every day that has good nutritional value. Your mind needs it as much as your body does. And don't forget water. Please drink plenty of water. And then we have movement. Notice I'm not calling it exercise. I think that word can sometimes put a little pressure on people who are struggling. But you don't have to hit the gym or run 5 miles or worry about some structured fitness plan when you're focusing on the basics. If you can manage those things and they help, awesome. But if you don't exercise regularly and find it difficult, just prioritize any type of dedicated movement daily. 30 minutes of moderate activity is beautiful, but if you can only manage 15 minutes of light movement, that's better than nothing. Baby steps are still steps. No matter how depressed I am, I prioritize a half-hour walk every day. It doesn't magically fix me, but I do always feel a little better at the end than I did in the beginning. Bonus points if you can get out in nature and soak up some sunlight. And if you take medicine, keep taking it as directed. If you think something needs to be adjusted there, speak with your doctor before you make any changes. On the subject of medicating, tip number 3 is to resist drugs and alcohol. My hand is starting to shake. It was at this moment that I made a critical mistake. Hey, it's me. It is hours later, and I was just looking at that recording really quickly and realized that the last many minutes that I recorded, I did something to the microphone. I must have turned it off when I sat it down. So I have to re-record this again. It's hours later, so now I have even less energy, and I had to set my sad spot back up. And it's whatever. It's pretty frustrating, but let's get back to it. I'm already too hot for this. I'm stressed. Tip number 3 for getting through hard times is to resist drugs and alcohol. Lolita's here. She's on my lap now. It's really cute. I wish you could see it. I know this one can be hard if you're used to coping with these substances. So I'm going to need you to refer back to tip number 1 if you do struggle with this. I won't get too deep into the subject right now, but obviously drugs and alcohol have a very negative effect on our body and minds. They make tip number 2, getting back to the basics, more difficult, and they act as a means of escape and avoidance. I know sobriety can seem unappealing when we're going through difficult times, but it will make it easier to move through these times instead of getting stuck or spiraling deeper. If you do need an escape, please try to use a healthier coping mechanism instead. What is she looking at? Tip number 4 is take it easy and give yourself credit. It's probably obvious by now that I meant it when I said that these would be very basic tips, and it may not seem Okay, bye. It's just me and you. I know it may not seem helpful enough to just focus on sleeping and eating and moving when you have a lot of other things that you feel like you should be doing in order to get out of whatever you're in. But these basics will make up the foundation that you can build everything else off of. Improving those first will make everything else easier. And being patient and kind with yourself is still crucial. Don't push yourself too hard, and don't try to run before you can walk. That just increases the chances that you'll fall and then have to pick yourself back up and start all over again. Limit the pressure that you put on yourself and try not to judge yourself for not doing as much as you may want to right away. Give yourself credit for your accomplishments, even if they seem small. Be proud of yourself for making a YouTube video while you're very depressed, even if you have to do it from the floor. This is again related to self-compassion. Even if you can only make small improvements to the basics at first, give yourself credit for any of your successes. Like I said earlier, baby steps are still steps. Finally, tip number 5 for getting through a hard time is to believe. I know this may sound corny, but it is essential. Believe in yourself. Remember that thing I said earlier? If you tell yourself you can't, you probably won't. So much of our potential is locked up in what we tell ourselves about ourselves. Believe that you can make the changes you want to make. Believe that you can do the things that you want to do. Believe that these difficult times will pass. It'll make them much more tolerable if you do. And believe that things will get better. I promise they will. I hope you guys found this helpful. I would love to break down these concepts further, but I am out of energy for now. There's plenty more to come, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. There should be a button with my face somewhere on the screen right now that you can click to do so. I appreciate your support and love you all. And thank you for understanding while I have to record under some different conditions. I'll be in a better place soon, and so will you. Thanks for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.